Oh, wonderful. Good. I was worried about that. I think Sarah got that. So we are recording now. I'll give it a couple more minutes. I just am gonna be taking Esther's place today and hosting today's class. And Winona and Esther on the way down to Colorado to the Northern Colorado Hemp Conference. So I'm you guys are stuck with me today. It's nice to see you guys all again. I know the last time I was on, we were about 35 or 40 people. So I only see about 14. I'd like to start on time though and not waste anybody's time, those of you that are here with me. But let's give it about 2 more minutes. We'll get going with everything about 12:02, 12:03, somewhere around there. And way we can get the best out of today's class. So we'll get back to you guys in about 2 minutes. Let's let some more people jump on. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and get started. Yate, She Ira Vandever Yinish. Yeah, I'm down here in northern New Mexico, in the Navajo Indian Reservation, on the checkerboard side. So I'm near between Chaco Canyon and Grants, New Mexico. I'm in the house of my mother and father, so the room I grew up in, and my sheep are around, and we're getting the fields ready for planting out here. My dad is a diesel mechanic, and he's retired now, so he's a full-time hempster and farmer and sheep herder. So we're helping him out get ready over here. I hope all of you are doing well. I see that there was a little bit of a drop off on the classes today. Maybe some people are down in Colorado or traveling around somewhere. Wish you all safe travels if you are. If not, thank you for joining. We have a really special guest today. She's only going to be able to stay on for about 45 minutes. So we'll talk today about continuing the healing process with the land. We use our hemp to phytoremediate in a uranium abandoned mines around here. There's also coal mines, oil spills, old gas stations. These are the kind of things that we're trying to to clean up. And this wonderful lady and presenter, um, she has solutions that are a little bit outside of our hemp realm, but work very closely together. So her expertise has been focusing on the Leech Lake area, and cleaning up that place. So are you on, Chelli? Are you on here?
I am. Yeah, thanks so much,
Yay, there's
Ira. Good to see
okay.
you
The floor is
again.
yours, my love. Take over.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so hi everyone. Thanks so much for having me come in today. I this was kind of a last minute request to present today, so I'm not like super prepared, just so everyone knows. But I'll just present for a little bit, and then we can open it up for questions. And so a lot of it can be Q&A, and we could talk about everything that way as well. So my name is Chelli Stanley. I live right now in Maine, and I've been working together with the Micmac Nation up in northern Maine. They have recently started owning part of the former Loring Air Force Base. So it's a super fun site that's closed down in the 90s. And it's like a highly, highly contaminated site. It used to be like one of the main nuclear weapons storage bases, or the main nuclear weapons storage base in the US during the Cold War. And then there's a lot of other toxins as well on the site and on their land at the site. So we all started working together in 2019. And that's right the year after hemp became legal in the US for the first time in, the last several generations. So hemp is known to be a phytoremediator. So that means it can pull many kinds of toxins from the soil. But no one was able to use it for all this time. So it was like the opportunity to be able to work with hemp in that way. Um, Hemp basically can, like many plants, can pull toxins from the soil, but some of them are like, they can pull these 3 toxins or this specific toxin very well. But what hemp, I think, is so unique for is that it can take out a very wide range of toxins. So, like Ira was saying, anything from uranium to oil to pesticides to fungicides, to heavy metals. It's just very versatile, and it also grows very quickly, and it's an easy plant to work with and to grow. It's very hardy, it's very strong. So, because it gets big so quickly, it can also pull out more toxins in that way. So it's a really good plant to work with and to remove toxins from the soil. The Mi'kmaq Nation, part of the land that they have also was a firefighting training area. So they had basically put out these huge, they would light like planes on fire or parts of planes and then put them out in training for decades. And so it's all drained into this one area and then went into streams and, eventually into the river. But we started working on that site together and growing hemp there. And so basically, we're looking at the forever chemical, which is PFAS. It's becoming a big news in the US because it's hard to break down, like no one knows how to break it down very well. And so right now they are predicting that if they don't figure out how to break it down, it would stay in the environment for 1,000 years, is like the prediction right now. And it's very toxic even at low levels. So we do need to figure out how to break it down and get it out of the environment, And so right now, hemp is like one of the only ways to do that, to phytoremediate it out of the environment is the main way. Yeah, we started growing hemp there in 2019, and we were working with different scientist institutions who we would send the hemp to and the soil. And then that was very nice in many ways. One is that we didn't have to pay for any testing. So the test for this, PFAS is like $300 per sample, but we didn't have to pay for anything. So we would just send it to the scientists. They would take 20, 50 samples, whatever we wanted. We want to know about this area. We'd send soil samples from here, from here, from here, water sample from here to just know what was going on. And then we sent the hemp as well. So after, studying it for some time, we have found out that the hemp is taking up PFAS. It's not really breaking it down. It might be breaking down some PFAS types a little bit, but mostly it's storing it in the plant, and it's storing it throughout the plant. So like from the roots to the pollen, basically, is where, and everywhere in between is where the PFAS is being stored. And so one thing that we learned from this was like, we should always harvest before the hemp goes to flower, because it is in the pollen a lot. And if we let it go to flower, it will go in the pollen and then blow around again. So we just, as soon as it starts going to flower, we just harvest the hemp right away, and then we send it to the scientists. And we also only grow enough to send to the scientists, because we don't want to have a bunch of hemp that has toxins in it that we would then like, what are we going to do with it? Send it to a landfill, or, we don't want to do that. So right now we're just growing enough to not have to do anything like that. But so now we're at the point where we need to figure out how to get it to break down once it's in the hemp. So it's removing it from the soil, it's in the hemp. And then in some cases, like with oil or petroleum, if you did this on land that had petroleum, you could then like inoculate it with mushrooms, like make a pile of the hemp, put in a compost, and then inoculate it with mushrooms. And mushrooms are known to break down petroleum. So that would be like a solution, done. It's clean, it's out. But with PFAS, it's not, unfortunately, that easy, because we don't really know how to break it down. So we've been sending it to scientists who think that they have promising ways to break it down, and they've been testing those on the hemp. So like trying to turn it into biofuel, so that maybe you could use biofuel, and then the hemp and the PFAS is broken down. There's one guy from Princeton who has a microbe that can break down PFAS, so we've sent it to him. So we're just kind of at that point in this process of trying to figure that point out. But yeah, I have more to say, but I also would like to open it up for questions. I mean, at any time too, like people can just interrupt as well. But does anyone have any questions at this point? No.
Bonjour, my name is Tanya. I live up in northern Minnesota, and my question is what seeds up in my area that could be grown to like remediate for an oil spill or contamination from mining? So these are the things that I'm facing right now, and I'm just looking for like a solution to help in remediating the land, and not only that, but other things on top of that, like with the battery
definitely.
thing that you're talking about.
Yeah, definitely. So I know Winona had sent out something that the Alex Whiteplume looks like he is identifying hemp strains for bioremediation or phytoremediation. So he would be good to talk to. I know Ira's also doing this there. So he has hemp seeds that he's been working with. We work with this hemp seed that we buy from Hemp Warehouse. It's out of California. It's called Chinma. So like Chinese, the first, CHIN and then MA. We've also worked with, I think, Hanma, which is HANMA. It's also Chinese. So they're like the national fiber hemp of China, which is where they say hemp came from. So it's been used for like, 2,000 years there. Very hardy. We've tried many plants up in northern Maine because it's right on the border with New Hampshire. So it's like a very short growing season. And a lot of them don't do well. Like they just bolt within 2 weeks. But these plants do so well no matter what. So I definitely recommend those, And so with hemp, yeah, you could use those with either petroleum or, mining toxins, and it would remove both of them. With the petroleum, then if it's taking it out of the soil and it's storing it in the hemp, it looks like it also puts it in the seeds from what I've seen in the past, or in the flowers and petroleum. So you could, though, like if you know anyone who works with mushrooms, or has any kind of understanding of mushroom, like fungal bioremediation, and there's a lot of books on it, like Paul Stamets has done some work on that. But you could basically, theoretically, like take the hemp that you've grown on petroleum and then make a compost pile with it, like put dirt and other things and the hemp, and then inoculate it with the mushrooms that break down oil. And that would get rid of it altogether. And then you would have clean, compost to work with. And you could also, yeah, definitely like get it tested and make sure that it's totally clean and no other contaminants in there. But that would be like a really great way to, just get it out of the soil. And then with the mining, I don't know, Ira, if you wanted to talk about that since you've been doing some of that.
Yeah, I don't think well, maybe they are, I'm not sure, but what we're talking about is the hemp that is grown for fiber, guys, not the one that are the bigger plants that are grown for the CBD. And what we're
Yeah.
trying to do is to accumulate the toxins. So you want something that grows fast and something that grows, with a quickness. So one of the seeds that we're working with that works really well in that area is Futura, Futura 75. That's a really good one for that area up there. And what Chelli is talking about is you want to harvest it before it buds, before it flowers. So that'll be about 3 months, 2.5 months, and then that'll minimize the amount of toxins that are distributed into the air. So we have the accumulation, and what's going to take place in the future. The agronomy is we want to be able to have a seed or a plant that neutralizes those toxins as much as possible before they get to the leaves and further out, so that we can still use the material afterwards. And a lot of that is being regulated by the federal government. One of the things that we have going on in the Farm Bill is to increase the amount of THC allowed in the hemp, because we don't know for sure if the amount of THC can help neutralize those toxins, or a combination of different genes that could help make it less toxic to use afterwards. But I definitely there's one strain called Coyote 1 or Coyote 2 that Marcus Grignon, he's in Milwaukee, I believe, Wisconsin. They're developing that, and that would be a strain that is a native strain developed by indigenous people, that you could purchase and help him start up his company as well. Um, but for starters, you don't want to spend a lot of money on something that you're going to be um, remediating with. You want to get the cheapest one that you can find, oftentimes from China, and do a test plot, and not too much at the beginning, because you're not going to know what to do with the biomass afterwards. But if you have a small amount that you can grow and test, you can just figure it out for your area. It may take about 3 or 4 years to figure out which one you want to use, but we've had the best success with Futura 75 down here.
Yeah, Tanya, and I've been in touch with like Leanna Goose at Leech Lake and then Winona. So I can also like be if you have any questions, I can definitely help out in any way, so you could get in touch with them and or just contact me directly, and I'll help, help however I can. So yeah, best of luck with your work. And then the next person it looks like is Michelle.
Good afternoon. Thank you. I had a question about is it PFAS? Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
PEFAS?
Yeah.
Okay, is that the chemical that's in the foam that they use to put out airport fires and stuff?
Yep.
Um, okay. My son's a firefighter, and I'm wondering, is there any research being done on well, I know there are a lot of studies being done on the effects of the PFAS on human beings, but is there any research being done on using hemp to either negate or um, lessen the effects on human beings?
Um, there was a guy that we were talking to from Australia who basically he had studied hemp protein powder. So
Mhm.
he would take the hemp seeds and then make it into a powder. And then because of the shape of the hemp protein, it was like a magnet, he thought, to attract the shape of the PFAS. So he tested
Mhm.
it with a certain type of PFAS as a remediator in water. So he basically just mixed water and hemp protein powder and swirled it around, and then all the PFAS just magnetized to the hemp, and he could
Okay.
remove within an hour 98% of the PFAS, which was amazing, you know. So he had all these ideas of how he wanted to move that forward in Australia. I don't think he has done much with it since then because of funding and other things. But his theory was then, because of that magnetizing, he wondered if humans could use it to like somehow eat hemp protein, or sort of like make like little capsules of the protein and then use it to remediate the hemp from ourselves. So that was a theory that he was interested in looking into, and I don't think he has really done that yet, but it is potentially possible to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
But
you.
it hasn't otherwise been studied, you know. I think it's all like new territory at this point, you know, because there's no, like, people just realized PFAS existed like 15 years ago, and it's kind of everywhere throughout the environment. So it's all very new. And I think if you are interested in like phytoremediation, that's also just new. So I think it's a really good opportunity to like push the science in the direction that you want it to go, you know, or that we want it to go for the environment, because people are generally like pretty open to these ideas, and you could then sort of help shape, you know, the science going forward, which is kind of what we're doing in Maine. You
Right.
know, we're
Yeah,
pushing.
yeah, and I can try to get him to take like CBD oil and get him to eat hemp seeds, because I
Yeah,
mean I eat them as well, but yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I just wish we had more government support here in Virginia.
yeah, yeah, I'm sure. I know in Maine there it is pretty supportive, which is good. I know like Minnesota was a little bit less that we were seeing, but so far, yeah, it just depends on the state. And I think one thing that's been good about getting scientists involved as well, is that there is kind of more, you have more leverage, you know. It's like
Yeah.
it's harder to bully if you have like three institutions that you're working with. Like there's a little more wariness, like, ooh, we're not just gonna, you know. So we have noticed that even with the Air Force, who, you know, we're working on our old Air Force base, so we're in touch with them and others. And so we haven't really had the bullying happening. And I think that's probably one reason why. So,
Well, our governor has just made um recreational marijuana illegal again.
oh,
So
wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
Shelly, I think one of the things that would be beneficial to the class also is to state again the universities that you're working with, and then also some of the other leading universities in the United States that are able to do those testings for free. That saves a ton of money per sample. One of the main ones that we've come across is Lincoln University in Jefferson City, Missouri. They're a historical Black college, and they're taking a lead and have received millions and millions of dollars to do this type of study and testing for farmers as well too. So that's a good resource if you guys are close in that area, or any type of ag extension program that are in the colleges where you are. They're good to put pressure on to apply for that money to study phytoremediation in any of your areas as well. Like New Mexico State University is one that works very well with us as well too. So
Yeah. And yeah, the ones we've been working with are the Connecticut Agriculture Experiment Station, the University of Virginia, University of Albany, University of Minnesota, and then Princeton is the guy who has that microbe that he's been working with. And there's also people doing hemp now and PFAS, I think at the University of Michigan and the University of Wisconsin have started recently. But yeah, Michelle, if you're in Virginia, we do work with Brian Berger at the University of Virginia. He's like one of our main collaborators, so he's great. But yeah, there's a lot of scientists like actually are very eager to do this kind of work because they're basically just sitting in a lab all day and they can't see that their work, that's what they've been telling me, they can't see the application for their work, and they always want to be working with communities and out, doing something that they can see makes a difference. So they're like very interested in working with people that are in the field. And the ones we've been working with have been very responsive and like culturally sensitive and not trying to take over in any way. So I think that's a lot of like people have really checked themselves to not do that kind of stuff. So hopefully that will be the case if you guys were working with people as well. But yeah, Craig, did you have a question?
Yeah, hi, my name is Craig Levand. I'm from Canada, from northwestern Ontario. We have a lot of like old paper mills here that kind of were running in the little municipalities and towns nearby. So there's a lot of mercury spill. Like one of the local communities, Grassy Narrows, they've suffered the worst in the region. And I'm just wondering if you've heard of anything about it remediating mercury within the soil and water, or anything like
I
that.
haven't really. I know that one of the scientists that I was working with, I think, I was in touch with, she's now retired, but she was at the University of Colorado, and she was really interested in doing mercury. So I think there would definitely be a scientist that you could find that would be interested in it. I know she was like, yeah, mercury obviously is quite dangerous to work with. And, just like we wear PPE for hemp for the PFAS. So like we wear the mask, respirator, and all the things. So
Yeah.
I would definitely suggest that for mercury just because it seems very volatile and like it changes shape all the time and stuff. So just to make sure that you're safe, working with it.
Yeah.
But she did think that hemp would be able to remove it from the
Okay.
soil. And then people do with water, like they will build floating rafts and then grow plants on the rafts and the roots go down into the water. So they're doing that in Australia a lot. I think in Florida, they're doing it for like that runoff from farmland. Forget what, yeah. And then you can do it for PFAS in the water. So that's something you could do potentially with mercury in water.
So it's really a lot in the fish as well. So and then that in turn goes into the animals and then the medicine. So that's kind of where, hoping it would kind of heal the whole cycle. So
Exactly, to just get it out of the system. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, did you have a question, Karen? You had, I think, raised your hand before, but no.
I did.
Oh,
Sorry. I
sorry.
did. I don't really know how to use Zoom very well, so I don't know how to ask when I have a question other than by raising my hand.
Oh, sure, of course, yeah.
Okay, so I want to grow hemp to use it for construction, but I want to use it in the stalks bundled up, right? And then I'm going to cob essentially over that with earth. And so I'm thinking, well, if the hemp is picking up, I'm in northeast Iowa, right on the Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin border. But so we have atrazine and all kinds of agricultural chemicals all over, even though our land has not been sprayed with that, but still it's going to be there. So I think it would be safe. Like, you don't want to be in a house surrounded by toxins, right? With the hemp. But if it's enclosed in clay, it seems like it might be okay. I don't know. That's not really a question. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, Ira, I don't know if you have something. I know that we've talked about that with PFAS before. Like, people were saying, oh, we could build a house with the hemp that it's not even putting the adobe around it, or, just build it with the hempcrete with PFAS in it. And we were all very like, that doesn't sound great, just because PFAS is so mobile as well. Like, it just seems to be able to move between different surfaces very easily. So we didn't want to do that with that. But yeah, I'm not sure if you're mudding the outside, it seems like it would be pretty contained in there. But yeah, Ira, I don't know if you have.
Yeah, definitely. We did a lot of research, and we had a lot of uh, testimony from old medicine people that said a long time ago, like the Navajos or the Chaco Canyon people, they had uranium, they had access to uranium, and it was mixed in with the adobe, and it created, this super brick or whatever, and we're able to build large pyramid-like structures. But when we were measuring our adobe bricks mixed with the uranium contamination, there was still a high level of toxins. But when we put it with we put the hemp in there, as well as the wool from the Navajo churros sheep, and then we had the adobe bricks, it tested way lower. And putting the plaster and the mud on the outside of those adobe brick structures with the hemp and the wool in there seemed to contain a lot of, and made it very livable, I guess you could say, that the levels were very low. So I think cobbing and the adobes can be a way that we can use some of the hemp that was taken out, some of the toxins from the soil, and have a safe way of using it afterwards. So I would say that just be able to measure. You can get a Geiger, or whatever kind of testing thing you can get, and just see the levels for yourself. Just try it out. This is all really new, guys. Everything is so new that if you keep testing it, you may have a breakthrough. Maybe it's the wool, or maybe it's the whatever mixture that you have with the clay that neutralizes it. That's what we're still trying to figure out. So that's is really exciting to just experiment with it. And in Iowa too, like using that building structure would be very, very useful for the future, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
Craig, I just wanted to mention as well that Leanna Goose, I don't know if you know her from Leech Lake. She knows Winona, but she was also interested in doing like paper mill cleanup at Leech Lake. So she had done a lot of research, and they actually had found some scientists at the University of Minnesota who were interested in working with them. So maybe, combining, you guys could all work together to do some research or start cleaning stuff up.
Yeah, that would be great.
Awesome.
And then after you're finished with your little whatever it is, the cob brick or whatever, send it in and get someone to test it for you, and just work that way.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think.
Shelly, how much more time do you have? Do you got to jump off here pretty
Like,
soon?
yeah, I do, like 10 minutes. I
10
could stay
minutes.
on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions about specific, maybe even mushroom? The mushroom thing is going to be huge, guys. It's huge. I know we're hamsters and stuff, but mushrooms are very, very essential part of how we're going to clean all this mess up. So if anybody has any really pressing questions for Shelly, she's going to jump off in about 10 minutes. Now would be a good time. And I'm sure we can reach out to her if you guys think of something later that she can write you back with.
Oh, definitely.
Shelly, do
Yeah.
you want to put any of your information into the chat that people can write down?
Oh,
Maybe they
sure.
can contact you. Yeah.
Yeah, I could put my contact info. And I would just say, like, just having worked with people at the Micmac Nation, you know, and then also with Leanna a little bit in Minnesota. One thing that we noticed was like at the Micmac Nation, basically they just said, this is that, like, that's their land, right? It's polluted. They have to deal with it. So they just said, we are doing this. They told the Air Force, we're doing this. We're not, it was like a positive interaction, but it was just like, we're doing this work. They told that to the state of Maine. So it wasn't a question. It wasn't like any sort of asking anything. And nobody pushed back on them, in other places, I've seen that sometimes people will, like, entities will sort of try to scare people and say, like, this is a Superfund site, you're going to be taking hemp that has filled with these contaminants and sending it in the mail to the scientists or driving it in a car to the scientists. What if something goes wrong and you have a car accident and it spills out? Or what if, then you're going to be liable for that pollution. And so they kind of put this pressure and this threat mentality on people and say that you're liable for this if something goes wrong. So that's something I think to be very aware that people might try to do that. But, I've seen people say back, we're a sovereign nation. We didn't pollute this land, but it's polluted. We don't want it on our land. You know what I mean? You can't tell us to keep it here and be polluted and that we can't send it anywhere else to be tested because of, so then they would sort of back down, but I think there is a lot of, like, the Superfund liability stuff is pretty intense and they have all this weird bureaucracy. I don't know if you've seen that, Ira, but just so much laws that they made for these major companies who are polluting that's supposed to be for them, but sometimes they'll try to use it on, like, us or someone who's trying to clean the land ourselves and say, like, now you're going to assume liability if you even try to do anything on the site. So it's definitely, I think, something that's going to have to be, like, ironed out more, like, as this starts happening more and more, as more people start cleaning the land, ourselves, and not waiting for the companies, it's going to be ironed out. But just in the meantime, if you do come across anything like that, there is, people can, like, support, and you can definitely push back, and show that it doesn't make any sense. They're not supposed to be pushing the liability onto us for what someone else created. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. And then another thing, this is just something we noticed, if you do start doing this work, is that a lot, with hemp and PFAS, like, there's no way to clean PFAS from the soil. So when it started to look promising, like, we had a lot of companies, like major companies, start approaching us as, like, this is going to be a billion-dollar business, to clean the soil. So, so wanting to work together and wanting to potentially patent this. So what we learned was that if you put it in the public domain, so if you're working with scientists and you publish that hemp removed PFAS from the soil or hemp removed mercury, and it did it this well or whatever, and it's in a scientific paper, nobody can patent it from that point on. It's in the public domain, you know? So you're like protecting it to be open and free for anyone in the future to use. So that's something to just keep in mind. And even people were saying, like, if you are doing it and you, like, a newspaper article comes out about it or something, that's puts it in the public domain a bit as well, that someone can't just come along and say, I invented this and now everyone has to pay me to do this from now on. So that's just something to keep in mind, you know, because there are people that would like have wanted to patent various parts of it, you know, like, okay, you know, they could try to patent that it takes it out of the soil. They also might want to patent how to break it down once it's in the hemp, but then it becomes sort of this proprietary thing and you might have to pay someone to use that in the future. So those are just things we've noticed crop up, you know, once it starts to become successful. So yeah, I was just thinking it would be interesting, Ira, if, I don't know, I know we've talked before and stuff too, but like it would be interesting if more people start doing this, we could just get a coalition around it and, you know, just like support each other and deal with these issues stuff, you know.
Yeah, the thing about us guys and Shelly and our work is we are doing it for all the right reasons.
Right.
And all of the people come around and they're like, well, the EPA is this and da da da. We give them so many millions of dollars and they got these techniques. And most of the time, it involves a lot of water, a lot of removal of stuff, and then just taking it somewhere else and putting it down. And what indigenous people have known for a long time is that mercury, uranium, all of these things exist naturally in our world already. So there's techniques that we have been doing in the past that involve this biodiverse world that we created. And we were stewards of the land for so long that we really care about it. And I found when I go against the people in the EPA, they're not really looking to have a solution. They're you know, they're paying their salaries, they're going to their conferences, and they're living really good lives, and that money is being wasted instead of just giving it to someone like us, and we just get to work and start planning and start, you know, trial and error. But I know that we're on the right side of history because we're in it for the right reasons, and we actually care that it gets done right, and we will see that it's done thoroughly. So the indigenous research that is being done and the people doing it right now have their hearts in it, but we need a lot of people coming behind us from all different directions with that same attitude and that same I guess want to really correct what the wrongs were. And I think my best successful approach was saying, I'm not looking to blame anybody, I'm not looking to sue anybody, I'm not looking to say, you know, all the problems with it. All I want to do is to find solutions, and I want to be a solution person. I want to do it in a way that is good for everybody, and I think that's the best approach that I've had. And man, you really have to give it up to people like Shelly, just being, because this takes a lot of work and a lot of research and everything to do with it. And my dad just came in and said he fed the sheep. Yeah, so we have all these animals and everything that we're taking care of in the land and the plants and animals that we care about. If we say we're doing it for the right reasons, I think it takes out a lot of the people that are really in it for the wrong reasons. And the patents
Right.
and stuff like that, we share everything. We share all of our knowledge. We're sharing all of our techniques. We're sharing all of the seeds and all the ways to do it. That's the best way, is just be open and make it public, as Shelly described. So Shelly, I know we're about it's so sad to see you go. You're such a great asset to everything. But thank you for staying on with us. And do you have any closing words or remarks that you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say thank you to everyone again. It was definitely a pleasure. And yeah, just definitely reach out, you know, if you have any questions or if I can support in any way, and just share, you know, what's worked for us. And Richard Syllaboy up at the Micmac Nation, he's the vice chief and he's great. Like, he would be happy to come out and speak with anyone, or he wants to travel more. So you can send him an invite. He'll definitely come. But yeah, and yeah, just keep in touch, and I would love to help out, and I wish you all the best in your work for sure. So
Thank you so much.
Thank-
And
Yes, thank
have a
you
great,
guys.
great day, and we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, why don't we take a 5-minute break and we can go tinkle or grab some water or check on your whatever you got going on over there. We'll come back in about 12:50. Okay, guys, welcome back. Um, we have about another 40 minutes left on our schedule, so I kind of wanted to go a little bit over anything. First of all, does anybody have any questions? Um, let's see if she put her information down. Oh, yeah, there she is. Cool. Chelli Stanley, CHLSTAN at yahoo.com, and her company is called Upland Grassroots. And you can find that at uplandgrassroots.com. Um, don't worry about interruptions, Carmen. Your son hitting the tap to speak is no problem. If you guys got kids there, have them there. If you got to breastfeed right there. If they're yelling and screaming, we'll accept it and have no problem with that at all. Um, the kids are a huge part of this, so I hope they're all around listening and are a part of this group. And in the future, I think I would love for this type of class and curriculum to be in elementaries and in high schools and in junior highs, because the kids right now, they're so innovative and so creative and so smart that they're gonna take this to a whole new level. I can feel it beyond what we're doing. But Shelly's a great resource to have. Cool. Esteban wrote, POC fungi based in San Diego has some experience using fungi for soil remediation. Wonderful. New podcaster here. I talk about all things cannabis, including hemp. If you're interested in being a guest, cannabis crew at mbradio.us. That looks like Holly Butler. So I would love to be on your show anytime. And I can write in and say that as well. What kind of mushrooms? That is a very good question. I don't think Shelly was able to answer that um, right there. But so when we're talking about remediation, there's really three things right now that we can do. There's the absorption, the accumulation of the toxins, and then the deabsorption or the breaking down of those in the biomass matter. There's this oxidization and reduction, which I think is more of the mushroom realm. And then there's this technique of stabilization and containment, trying to bury it basically in its place, the in situ type of system right there is kind of what that last one is. So those are the three realms. But when we get into the details of it, I mean, they're talking about nano sheets and using magnetic compounds to pull things out, and there's just a complex world out there that we're just now starting to understand. But basically with hemp and with mushrooms, you grow it, you let it do its work, and it's taking care of it naturally. And I think we have to, as human beings, put a little bit more faith into nature. And we have to put a little bit more faith into the plants that have been here hundreds of millions of years longer than us. They have an intelligence that we can't even imagine to tap into. So I think mushrooms and hemp are both of those very, very intelligent plants, and uh, microorganisms that can help us take these toxins out of the. Oh, cool. He is learning with me. We are starting with sheep also. Yay! We have Navajo churro sheep over here, so they're about 800 years old. And thinking about all the uranium contamination around here, the coal mines and stuff, I'm really worried about my sheep, and these are solutions that I really need to start to hack away with, like Shelly's doing. I think it would be great if we had a coalition a big group of us with nothing but good intentions, and then they give us the money to do this type of work. So that's where I would rather it see than with the EPA. Here on the Navajo Nation, we're actually not as progressive as some of the other tribes. We are very resource extraction heavy tribe. We get a lot of royalties from coal companies, Peabody Coal and Bechtel, and all these horrible companies pay us millions of dollars, which actually end up being pennies on the dollar of what they make. I think Bechtel made about 44 billion last year, and they give the Navajo Nation about 35, 40 million. And it's just, we've got to get out of that thinking. But there's so many elders in leadership that think the old way. So I think that's where we got to start. We've really got to start tribally and indigenously, to have a voice to say we're the stewards of the land, where we've always been the original caretakers of this place. We understand the plants, we understand the animals. Let us start to do some research and development. So I think that's a good place to start. All of the allies that are not in indigenous tribe can work very closely with the tribes. I think if you just make the effort and approach them and say, hey, I got this idea, kind of deal. I would say there are certain types of mushrooms specific for different, like the oil spills, the petroleum spills would have a certain type of mushroom. The plastics and the hardcore metals and stuff would be a different, maybe a stronger type of fungus. But I'm not an expert. I haven't started to, but I'm going to now. I've got direct access to Chelli. So anybody? Yep, Daria.
I have a question there about the mushrooms. This has got me kind of excited because let me see. Somebody in southern Iowa had a oyster mushroom grow operation, and it started on fire, and so the spores of oyster mushrooms went everywhere. So about 2 years ago, all of a sudden on the farm here, there are bushels and bushels of oyster mushrooms growing. So I'd just like to put it out there. I'm wondering about, could the oyster mushrooms, they're great to eat as well, but there's too many of them. And anyway, we got them growing all over the place.
Heard of that also down here in the Taos, New Mexico area. They started using oyster mushrooms, and it started out because the restaurants had a high demand of, hey, let's get them into the restaurants. But then actually they were breaking down a lot of the compost piles that people had. They were doing wonders for the environment. So oyster mushrooms grow really fast, same like hemp. There's something about that, right? Something that grows quick, accumulates, and then can be able to populate. Oyster mushrooms is up there. So if you guys have anything, let's just throw it out there, man, because a lot of this is really brainstorming as well too. So oyster mushrooms, definitely. Let's see here. I'm looking on the site right now, and the EPA, if you even go on there, they do list the research, but there's very little papers on using hemp for phytoremediation, and very little papers on using mushrooms for remediation as well. So they're not doing the research that needs to be done to bring these into mainstream. That's for sure. We're gonna need your guys' help to do that. Mercury seems to be one of the larger ones in our area too, with the coal mining. So the coal combustion was leaving a lot of mercury into the atmosphere as well. So I think mercury and zinc and those type of things are where we can start with the petroleum cleanup. Would oyster mushrooms compete and destroy moral populations? Good question. Would oyster mushrooms compete and destroy moral populations? Do you have an
Excuse
answer
me,
for that,
no,
Daria?
I can answer that. I
Okay.
can answer that. Because morels grow here naturally, absolutely delicious, but they grow in a different, the oyster mushrooms grow on dead or decaying white elm trees, right? They grow on the trees. Morels, on the other hand, grow in the soil,
Mm,
earth. So I don't think that they would compete.
cool. Great. Let's see. We've got 17 participants of are there any other examples besides mercury or petroleum or uranium, zinc that anybody else can think of in their areas that we can do a little bit more research on? Anybody?
I would,
Hi. Oh,
go ahead.
Avalon? Yep.
sorry. Yeah. I'm Saguli. I'm in Oneida Nation of the Thames in southern Ontario, and we're like literally like 2 miles, if that, a mile from the garbage dump. So we receive all of the household garbage for the city of Toronto. And
Gosh.
what they want to do is they want to do a renewable energy project with us, which what I understand is renewable energy made from household garbage. They want to make it, gas and pump it into our houses and do tests, right? But part of my concern is that, we don't want to move. Like, we don't want to particularly like just up and leave because for one, it's not possible, but that's a whole other story, right? So one of the things I've been looking at is, same thing. Like it is hard to, no, it's not hard. It's difficult to not be political, but to, maybe be more so like, hey, Green Lane Dump, let's work together. And how about you invest in some hemp in our community, which also has issues with like land and things like that. But anyways, we have so we've had this for about 25 years, and we have all of this household garbage plus incinerator going into the earth, into the air. So I have no idea what any of that is, entails, what kind of garbage is coming out of there. But that is just one of my ideas that I'm hoping to be able to take to our band, to really look at cleaning up this community and hopefully taking it further into, like jobs, like, things where people can, take this out into other communities, not just indigenous, to clean up. But anyways, yeah, that's where my concern is, for my particular community is the household garbage waste from Toronto.
Beautiful. And here's the thing that you've got on your side. Putting money into hemp to clean it is very, very, very cost effective. You can, get an acre of seed for $50, $250 or whatever, and then plant it just by using the rainwater and using the nitrogen and all the stuff that's already there from the waste dump. And the great thing about hemp is it'll capture the carbon from the atmosphere as well as absorbing the toxins from the soil. So I think you would have a great pitch to just go and say, hey, we can get this going for about, less than $1,000. Let's get an acre. Let's try it out and see what happens and test it. I think that would be a really good pitch.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just what I've learned just in the few weeks, and even in just the last session with Chelli, this thing is like, it's just like, it's totally blowing my mind, and I'm seeing like the possibilities of it. So I have to extend my thanks to everybody in the group and yourself for just opening this up, because it is a green revolution. What else do we have left right now, So anyways, thanks.
Thank you so much for that. And go for it, man. Don't be afraid. Don't delay. Just get something on paper to say, hey, this is how much the seeds cost. This is who's going to be doing it. And I think that the idea of wearing PPE gear just to look a little bit more professional is good too. We don't ever know what kind of toxins are out there too. So maybe include that in your budget and then take it to the tribe and say, hey, I've got a solution. I'm not talking about the problems. I'm not leaving here ever. This is my homeland. I love it. And I'm going to, do my best to make it a better place. So I seen Daria. Did yours go up before Michelle? why don't we go Daria first?
Hey, hi. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you for having this class, and thanks to everybody. So we live about an hour north of Duluth, up in the Iron Range, and we moved here to help restore the wetland that's up here. We have about 40 acres of wetland, and about 2 of which that we immediately affect. So it's wetland and forest. But where we live is called the Iron Range, and there's taconite mines all over. And even though thankfully like our water is tested clean, we have well water and stuff, I would love to like use like even like an acre of our land to try out hemp seed. Like I know it's supposed to do well, or apparently I've learned in dry environments, but as climate change progresses, like we were in a drought this last year. We got super little snowfall, and like I want to start trying things out before it's too late and we're like, oh no, like it's always dry now, you know? So is that possible to like just, plant like, I don't know, like a 25 by 25, yard space of hemp to like test it out? I mean, I don't know. What's your opinion? Thank you.
That's the way we all start. Even just a small little quarter acre around your well to protect it, because it may be testing fine now, but there may be toxins on the way. Wherever the water is flowing back down into the aquifer, you can set up that quarter acre in front, of that well to kind of stop and absorb things right there. We just did that in all of our area, and then we set up like little rock dams where the water was flowing through the arroyos, and the biodiversity started coming up by itself, and the plants were coming there. And it doesn't have to be hemp. If you're in the wetlands and the hemp doesn't like it and the roots don't like it, you can grow, whatever, cottonwood trees or sunflowers, or just the idea that the plants and can phytoremediate on their own, and they have been doing that for hundreds of thousands of years. But I would put a little a quarter acre in front of that well, wherever your water source is, to protect that from the water flows, and then just put it in another quarter acre or even smaller than that, where the actual contamination may be, and just start right there and see what happens. You may be a place that uses some other plant besides hemp, but it wouldn't cost you very much to just throw that seed in there and see what happens. And if you have the water, you may not even need to water it. Just use the rainwater in all the wetlands, and it costs you nothing, just to try.
Super cool, dude. Yeah, thank you. Because I was thinking about like, just creating like small little families of, hemp or whatever that is, to like just learn how it's going to adapt up here. So anyway, thank you for your time.
Yeah, and you can totally try different seeds as well too. Maybe buy like 2 or 3 different ones, and then one is good for your region, and you buy that one next year, only that one or whatever.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep. Yes, Michelle.
I live in southeastern Virginia. We have dozens of military bases within a 200-mile radius of here. I'm sure there's lots and lots of cleanup to be done. I mean, I know I live, just 2 or 3 miles away from a Navy air base. And I know that those guys dump their fuel before they land sometimes when they've got too much. I'm just wondering who in the Chesapeake Bay area, particularly the southern Chesapeake Bay, can I contact here to work with?
Chelli gave a name at the University of Virginia.
Yeah, she was talking about Bruce Berger.
Berger.
I Googled him while we were on break, and I couldn't find him, but it was just like 3.5 seconds that I was Googling. So I will send her an email and ask her for his contact information if she has it.
You got it. Right, Chelli, get that contact. Use these contacts, guys. Write me if you have to.
Mhm.
Write Nona. You guys are a part of our family. So just write her. And she's Chelli's amazing. She won't think for 1 second you're trying to bother her or anything like that. And that's what I would do.
Mhm.
I would go to Mr. Berger and figure out what you need to do and get that. But also, what we have a lot of military bases here in New Mexico, and I had a lab that tested at New Mexico State. So I just walk by the bases and have my pocket full of seeds and slowly walk by and let the seeds just fall out of my pocket and let them grow. And as soon as they came up to a certain height, I grabbed them and had them tested to see if it was working or what it was doing. So that's
Well,
called guerrilla farming.
well, yeah, that's what I was thinking, because I was thinking about making little seed balls for my
Bombs, seed
grandchildren.
bombs. Yeah.
Seed bombs, yeah.
Yeah.
Making little seed bombs for my grandchildren and stuff, and have them throw them out the window as their parents are driving down to see me,
I love it. I
and
love it.
or as I'm driving up to see them.
Yep.
So
We're just sweet little kids. I'm just a sweet old lady.
yeah.
We're just driving by. No harm here. No, and then totally just go back to where it's at, see if it's growing, and figure out which one it is and how to get it tested, and you'll see the result. That's what I did. And then after that, you've got kind of got the evidence and it in your mind to say this is going to work, and you can kind of take it into a bigger approach. And this brings us back to a question from Ellie. She asks, at what point do you have to get an actual license to grow hemp? Well, industrial hemp and commercial hemp, I think if you have like, over an acre going and that's kind of where you want to go. I didn't get a license for mine because I was doing these small little tests everywhere and never really um, even bothered to get a license, especially after the Farm Bill passed and hemp was legalized nationally. So unless you're doing a huge operation um, and you're actually doing a whole bunch of contracts and work, I would wait to get your license and just see what you really want to do and practice it on a small scale. It looks like Charlie Toledo has
Hi.
a question. Yes.
And I came in late. I apologize. I was in
Um,
another water meeting. So I'm calling from California. And we're doing small experimental growths, just like you're describing. And it seems like having trouble getting seed without the license. So you kind of explained that question, but where do we get the seed if we don't have a permit?
You can order the seed from the Anishinaabe Agriculture Institute. Winona LaDuke has about 40 different varieties they've been accumulating from Russia, Ukraine, France, China. So you can order directly from her. And Esther is the host normally, and she can get the logistics. And she might even give them to you for free, a 50-pound bag or so if you just pay for the shipping.
Because when I asked last week, they referred us to China and France, and then I still just haven't followed up. So I thought, well, here's the discussion. I'll just ask you. So that'd be great. I can ask Esther directly. I'll tell her you said it would
Absolutely.
be shipping costs only.
Yep. Tell her that. Say Ira says it's gonna be shipping only. And I think anything under 50 pounds would be enough for a quarter of an acre or something like that. And that's kind of all you need to start with. We knew right away that the seeds from China, they weren't working here in New Mexico. It just was not growing at all. And yeah, the ones we got from the France and Ukraine area were working very well. So I would just get a variety of small ones to see which actually works where you're
And
at.
then what part of New Mexico are you in? Because the land that we have in California is rocky and theoretically or hypothetically it used to rain in the winter, which it has this winter, but it can, we just came out of a 9-year drought. But usually we'd have winter rains and then now moving into the dry seasons through late spring, summer, and fall.
It sounds like us. We're northwest New Mexico, so we're in the high mountain desert, rocky mesas, a lot of sandstone in our area as well. And the Futura, I mentioned it earlier, Futura 75 is a good one for our area. And I think it might be great for that California region area too. Yes, seed bombs are a great idea. Guys, we're in a fight, man. We are in a battle. We are in a war for our mother nature, for our animals, for our food, for the future of our kids. And these seed bombs are not bombs that are killing people. They're not bombs that we're developing uranium from. These are healthy, good bombs. These are bombs that the world needs. So these seed bombs are really important. Yes, see, yay, 50 pounds of seed. Hope it can get across the border. We we sent about 1,000 pounds of seed in different bags and said it was bird seed. And the customs and the borders had no problem with it. So I think you should be fine, Craig. Just say you're traveling with bird seed.
Great.
Or wildflower seed.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yep. I think once anybody's been caught or investigated about it, any charges or anything gets dropped immediately because they're hemp, and hemp and marijuana are completely different things as far as the law goes. So you should be good. Tule leaches out heavy metals and pollutants from waterways, at least in California. Yes.
It's
So
Tule. And that naturally grows
Tule.
because we were doing water clearing out the Napa River, which used to be the biggest pollutant of San Francisco Bay. And then just in allowing the habitat, not the habitat, but just to clear the space and not have dams and stuff. The Tule self-seeded, but it seeds really easily, and then it leaches. The roots of it leach out heavy metals and any toxins in the water. So that one woman who was describing a wetlands, surrounding it, or letting Tule grow, and then it'll self-seed. It's a perennial, and you can in the drier months kind of burn it, and that revitalizes the leaves and stuff, and then it'll just it cleaned out the Napa River when they opened up the wetlands in the southern part of the river going to the San Francisco Bay. I think within 2 years it had been the biggest pollutant of the San Francisco Bay, and then now became a state model for how to clean up waterways. Tule.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So I see though you never know what's your region, what's the plant that grows fast. That's kind of the common denominator. What's one that's going to grow fast and do this kind of work by itself. And let's just give the due credit to Mother Nature. We're just here kind of stewarding all this along. Yes, Michelle.
You talk a lot about how quickly the plants grow, and I just have this kind of little niggling in the back of my brain that when wrong one, Henry Ford and all those oil guys started building cars, they wanted to do it really fast, and that's a big part of what got them into trouble was want to make money fast, and they didn't really care about the environment. Is there any cause for concern for like I'm thinking corn and what has happened with the corn industry and growing corn? Is there any concern that when you do something really fast with Mother Nature, if you will, that there could be problems down the line?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And to be honest, any type of phytoremediation with hemp or anything is going to be a 10+ year project. So I think the fast part is the accumulation of things, like what grows really quick is hemp or something like that. But having an industrial revolution again with the new green revolution would be so counterproductive, like having 10,000 acre biochar facilities, using processing machines that would do 10 tons per hour or whatever it is. That kind of speed is what I'm worried about. The speed I'm talking about, I guess, is the hemp's natural state in nature is to grow pretty fast. So using that to kind of speed up the process, to appease, us as human beings, I think we should be very cautious about that. Letting it do its job naturally, I think, is the best way to go. And you are so right on that. We need to be cautious about trying to speed everything up. It's, it may not be in our time that we get it clean, but we need to be steadily moving forward. So yeah, totally. Great, great, great comment, Michelle. Thank you. Charlie, you got another?
I was just going to make a comment to that, because I think hemp is indigenous to every place on the planet. And then National Geographic was doing that research of where people went, and all of the middens all around the world. The one thing that was present was cannabis and hemp, those seeds. And so when you put, like with the tule, we just opened up the space for the tule to the birds were spreading it, and it just came in very quickly. Now there's big tule, and that's allowing it to return to its natural state. And that's different than introducing something that's foreign and industrial. If you're introducing organic, indigenous, or native plants to a region, that's a really different thing than invasive. So then that's why I was describing the tule, because the river was healed. There was hardly any fish. There was no life forms. But now the full chain, we have otters, we have beavers in the Napa River 10 years after that remediation. And that just restored the natural habitat, which we want that to move fast.
Right.
And I just think, the bombs, we're doing that on our property, doing drone bombs just on our parcel. But the idea of throwing them out of your car as you drive around, I love that.
Drone bombs is great. What a great idea. And
Beautiful.
and I think the idea of growing something fast like hemp, it releases a lot more I guess moisture into the air as well. So the rains start to come back, and then the whole cycle of this water coming down, and then the plants growing, and da 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 is kind of what we wanna rock and roll with. I'm going to bomb my res. Yeah. We just started a revolution, guys. This is the new green revolution.
Yep.
How does hemp help with invasive species? Spotted knapweed and crabgrass are taking over our area due to the potato boom up here, the spraying of them and the Roundup used up here 30 years ago. Winona and her crew right there at White Earth, they are phytoremediating Lay's potato chips potato field right across from their res. And I know that with the hemp, those spotted knapweeds and crabgrass were not coming back as prevalent, as well as the pesticides were being cleaned up with the hemp. And I think this is their 4th year right now doing that, or 3rd year. So it does help keep those invasive species down. And then it's also a natural pesticide. It's it has a lot of properties that help the good things grow in that area.
I would be interested in the seed from, you mentioned, or the woman before mentioned a seed that was being grown in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Coyote
Yes.
One. Do you have any other contact information for that? Or?
Yes. His name is Marcus, Marcus, and his last name is Grignon, Grignon. And if you type him up, his name just comes up everywhere. And I think it's Coyote 1 and Coyote 2 he's working on. And I think this year is it going to be his mass release. So he'll have a large amount of seeds available for you to purchase. And he may even say, hey, let me just come up there and do the research with you. I'll bring everybody and everything with me, and we just need another place to do it. He may say that as well. He's a really great guy. I think he's Lenape, or one of those type of bands of he's an indigenous guy. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Thank you. Yes.
You're welcome. Okay. We're up to 20. I don't think I missed any questions. We're gonna end here in about 5 minutes. So if anybody has anything to say on this or need any more information, let me know. And Esther will be back next week to continue on with the hosting. So if you think of
I got a
anything,
question.
yes,
You were talking about the PPEs.
yes.
So far I've gotten written down the hazmat suit, the goggles, the respirator, Geiger counter. Would there be a decontamination center also involved with that?
I
And
would have like just one that you have naturally at your house, right? Like anywhere you're going back in, if it's your garage, you can designate an area where you can decontaminate and place all of your suits and stuff. I mean, it might be best to have it a little bit further away from the house, especially if you got kids and dogs and those kind of things running around. Um,
oh,
from what I do, I don't even bring it even close. I usually leave it way, far away from where I'm at, and then I that suits in a closed contained area. Then you just put it back on when you head back out.
okay. All right,
Good
thank you.
question. Great question. You did a great job emceeing today. Yay! No, I love this, man. This is my life. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys, and I'm here with you on the front lines with those bombs, man. So, anything else? I think we're good. You guys don't have any homework? Go play at recess. Go do all the great things you guys do in
Thank
life.
you.
Yeah. Have a great afternoon.
Yeah, we will. Thank you.
Going at
Hey, I'm so sorry that I missed. I got busy and just